So my name is Yanqi Wang, and most of people call me Fei Fei because is my nickname, and my parents call me and you call me that. And I'm a photography major. I'm from China, Wuhan, and I came here because my parents want to send me abroad to study photography because I think the photography major in United States is better. So in China, I spent all my 15 years in China, like and then I went to study abroad in Canada for 3 years and then come to America. And so I think the life in China is more like busy and more strike because I live with my family and my grandma. So every day my grandma take care of me, but she take. I know it's a good heart to take care of me, but sometimes she like it's too much. Like she always asks me to put on more clothes when it's winter, and then so when I come to America, and I think it's the life in America is like a free. I feel free in here because I can do whatever I want. I can study what I like. Have you heard of the education system in China? Yeah, we study all day.
All day?
Yeah, so I feel bad about my cousins. I have one cousin that study in high school in China right now. So he, it's like I don't know what he felt about the education system, but I think it's like torturing. It's like really painful because they have to study from 8 in the morning until like 10 or sometimes 11, 1 to do the homework, and sometimes in the weekend they still have to study. And for the even for the winter and the summer, they have to study. They don't have time to do their things, like to do the things that they love.
When did you first read your to-do-list?
I think the first time I read it is like when I was in elementary school, because I think it's part of the homework we got.
It's required?
Yeah, it's a required book.
Okay.
Yeah. The Journey to the West is the one of the 4 famous book
In China?
in China. So as a child, as a kid, the Monkey King is our hero. It's really a hero because he's. I think if the group, the 4 people, if they don't have the Monkey King, they cannot get through to the West. I think. Yeah, he's the main character because he beat all the monsters to save the monk, but the monk never understand him.
Do you like the way Monkey acts, his attitude, his personality?
I believe he's a nice guy. He has a really nice guy, but sometimes he acts annoying because no one understand him. So there's a Chinese slang. I don't know. Is it? I know. Is it the Chinese words that is really good to describe him? Is knife mouth, tofu heart. It means that you have a kind heart, but you act rude. I watch this because it's fun to watch. I never take it serious because I think, oh, Monkey King is our hero. It's like the Iron Man, Spider-Man in American. Yeah, that's what I feel for the Monkey King.
In your opinion, do you think American-born Chinese should embrace themselves or not?
I think they can be proud of for 2 cultures because they born in America, so they have to respect to the Americans because they learn their lives. They spend their whole lives in America, but actually their parents. I think their parents are Chinese, right? The parents are Chinese. They are part of Chinese. Their blood, their face is Chinese. For my experience for ABC, because I was in Canada for my high school, there's a lots of ABC. They don't like Chinese people. They think they're Americans. One day I hear the kid that say, "Oh, there's American calls me a Chinese, but I'm not Chinese," and so they treat the international students like me really bad. But I don't know. I don't like in my opinions, they cannot find their own identities. They think themselves Americans, but Americans seems them as a Chinese. So I think the best way, or like the best way for them, like they can accept the culture, they can at least respect of it. We don't need you to be really Chinese. You can be American as you want, but at least you have to respect it. Your parents are born in Chinese. You have like if your parents not immigrate in United States, you have to stay in Chinese to experience the same experience that we had. So I think that's I think a lot of ABC are changing now. So they like Chinese cultures. Yeah.
As a Chinese student in an American college, how has your journey been so far at Columbia?
To be honest, I had really fun in my second years of my college. For the first years, I had a lot of trouble with get along with people. Because when I was in Canada, I always hang around with Chinese people because I'm not really good at English. I don't really feel confident to talk to the Canadians, the local people, and so when I came to the American, I choose to have friends with Chinese people, but I found out they don't really want to hang out with me. I don't know why. So in my second year, I decided to join some clubs and then make more American friends, and they are really nice to me.
I'm Gabby. I'm a sophomore at Columbia College. I'm a writing and TV producing major.
Why did you come to Chicago?
I really wanted to get out of Michigan, and that's where I'm from. Most of my classmates were going to stay in Michigan, and I just didn't want to be like everybody else. And I really liked art too, and I didn't want to go to like a college just for, something that had all the majors, and I wanted to go to a school specifically for something that I liked. So my family's from Hong Kong. My grandma, she immigrated to Michigan when she was about 18 from Hong Kong, and she's been living in Michigan ever since.
Could you talk about Michigan and like what it's like to be growing up there?
Michigan, for me, it's not where I'm from is Livonia. It's a smaller city than like Detroit in Michigan. It's not like there's a bunch of different ethnicities, I guess. It's mainly like white Americans, there's lots of Indians, and like a very small amount of Asians. So I feel like when I grew up, I kind of had, I was forced to mingle with like everybody in my neighborhood, no matter like what ethnicity, and I was like used to that and stuff. But coming from an Asian family, growing up, I was just used to having a bunch of different ethnicities around me, and I was used to that, and I loved that because I could make different, friends from different cultures.
Do you notice cultural differences between native Chinese people and American-born Chinese people?
Yes, definitely. There's a huge difference. I feel like mainland Chinese people, in my experience, they stick to mainland Chinese people when they come here, and like ABCs tend to stay with ABCs. In my case, that wasn't true because I really was, especially my family, exposed me to a lot of mainland friends that they had, and their kids were my friends. So I was used to having mainland friends, like even when I was like super young. So I tended to get closer to mainland Chinese or Asians than ABCs, but I feel like the biggest difference between the both of them is definitely their knowledge of their own culture. Especially ABCs nowadays, I feel like they don't really want to understand their culture or even are interested in it because they feel like they're American. Like they want to be American, they dress like an American, like everything about them, they just want to be American. And that's great, but I feel like they should know just a bit more about their culture. I feel like ABCs are more open to other cultures and making friends. Mainlands tend to stick together.
Being Chinese American, how has your journey been so far here in Colombia?
I probably feel the most Chinese actually that I've ever had. I think it's because there's so many like Asian people that I've met here, because from Michigan, there's literally like probably 10 in my neighborhood. But now that I'm in this big city in Chicago, there's like so many different Asians that I can make friends with. But so far, like my journey here has been great because I can learn so much, especially from all these mainland people I've met. I haven't met as much mainland people than I have now. So I'm really thankful for that, and they've taught me a lot, especially their side of where they've come from, and we can share stories, and that really helps me learn about myself more.
Has this course made you think or reflect on anything about yourself or your culture?
I definitely, when taking this course, I got interested in more like Chinese stories, and I wanted to really like research more Chinese like poetry and different stories like the Monkey King, because I really enjoyed that story.
You've read American Born Chinese, so in what ways can you relate to the book?
Wow, like I feel like the whole book was kind of very similar to my story. Growing up as an ABC, I definitely felt that I was different, especially going to a school where everybody was white except for me and like one other Asian girl. And I guess like Jin Wong in the story, like he didn't want to be friends with another Asian. But in my case, I was so shy that I like couldn't even make friends with like the white people there. So I just drifted towards the Asian girl in my class when I was little because we had the most in common, and I was like, that's the most I could talk to her about was our culture, and that's how we instantly like related to each other, and she was like my first friend. Throughout my school years, when I met more like ABCs, we were always like made fun of. I feel like the little kids tease ABCs a lot, especially with the food. And that was like the biggest thing for me because my mom would cook me Chinese food like every single day. And I brought it to school every day. And I was always afraid to open my lunchbox because I thought people would make fun of the smell. And they did like all the time. And me and my two like Asian friends during that time, we would like go outside to eat because we were like so afraid that people were gonna make fun of us. I guess that story with ABC and Jin Wong, definitely I struggled a lot with loving like my Asian side and my American side at the same time because I wanted to be, when I was younger, like everybody else, but when I got to high school, I just like didn't care anymore, and I was like, I'm gonna accept myself. I'm Chinese and American, and I just didn't really care anymore that people would make fun of me because I just learned to love myself, and I accepted both cultures, and it's just part of me. So, yeah.